Panther people, what is up? Hey, welcome to the Panther Post. I'm Phil Perkins. Make sure to like, subscribe if you're new here, comment like everybody else has been doing. Also follow us on Twitter at Panther Post #1 for Killer Cam. All right, if you're not new to the channel, thank you. That's all I gotta say. I am so humbled. I am so hype after this draft, and not because Scott Fitterer is a Jedi Master, as I've been saying 1,000 times, but the fact that I started this channel because I love the Panthers. I love talking about sports. I love talking about football. And the fact that we started this channel with just 24 followers and just a couple days because we're just so crazy about the draft and the future about this team, we ballooned to almost 400 followers. That's almost 400 human beings. Imagine putting 400 people in a room. That's a lot of people. That'd get shut down by the police right now in this pandemic. So I appreciate all those who have supported us from day one. The comments below, like, it's the internet, it's YouTube, social media. You would assume people will just be jerks. At least one or two people would be a douche. But that's just not the case. Everyone is so nice and welcoming us to the community, and also just constructive criticism. I'm in the media business, so I could take it. I mean, I got a filter for my mic. No more popping peas. Panther, 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 Panther. It's so much fun. This team is officially the youngest team in the NFL at 24.2 years old. And we, along with them, are going to grow with this team and grow with this Matt Rule, Scott Fitterer, David Tepper era. And hopefully, in a couple years, we're going to be the big dogs. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, the draft is now just over a week behind us, but listening to WFNZ, listening to all those awesome Panther podcasts, people are very happy with this draft. The way that Scott Fitterer matriculated, whatever, MacGyvered that draft board and selling, picking up picks for next year, fleecing the Houston Texans. People are just so impressed. This is not how the Panthers used to operate under Dave Gettleman or Marty Hurney. Twice. The Panthers are also getting a lot of attention on the national scale as well. You have guys like Ryan Wilson from CBS Sports who gave the Panthers an A+ in their draft. And then you have former Panthers like Thomas Davis, who is now making that move to TV, giving the Panthers a solid A. But there's one draft analyst who I appreciate the most when it comes to his opinion, and that's Daniel Jeremiah, former scout with the Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens. He has a point allotment for his top 150 players in this draft. And as we know, the Panthers had to think about 166 players who they felt were draftable. And he has a score system, a point system for each of the players in his top 150. And his scorecard for the Panthers resulted in them getting the highest score out of every NFL team. Sure, they had 11 picks, but according to him, they were all value picks. All of them had a point allotment to the point where they were top of his list as the draft class that had the most amount of points/value. So Scott Fitterer, Matt Rule, David Tepper, damn, you guys knocked it out of the park. One thing I think that's really cool is the fact that the Panthers official website have a columnist on board. Darren Gant, he's able to be a little sarcastic about the team, a little critical, as well as giving them some praise as well. And he gave us a very detailed look at the war room, the ballin'-ass war room of the Carolina Panthers, giving us some behind-the-scenes looks, some discussions between the likes of David Tepper, Matt Rule, Scott Fitterer, and also our cap specialist, Mr. Suleiman himself. One of the nuggets that was actually pretty funny was when the Atlanta Falcons picked up Kyle Pitts, the tight end/unicorn out of Florida. Matt Rule looked at defensive coordinator Phil Snow's direction and just said, "Good luck, Phil." Gant mentioned how the draft room went quiet. It wasn't all fun and games anymore after the San Francisco 49ers apparently surprised everybody and picked up Trey Lance. And after that, they were just kind of watching the draft unfold and keeping their eye on Penei Sewell, who they were clearly very high on in terms of the left tackle position. He was eventually picked up by the Detroit Lions. And then once it was their turn, if you remember, they took their sweet ass time to make a decision. Apparently they were fielding calls and Fitterer was just basically heard saying no, 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 and just shutting it all down. And so at the end of the day, they were very thrilled to have Jaycee Horn. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about Mr. Horn later on in the episode. The Panthers are on the lookout for some new scouting staff, and one of them includes the assistant GM, and apparently they're going to be making a move on that pretty soon. One of the names is Dan Morgan, who I remember watching when I was younger because he was arguably one of the most swagged out linebackers I've ever seen. I just remember him just looking like a video game, a creative player. He had the visor, he had the cool face mask, he got the gloves, he had the straps on the elbows. Dude was awesome, and apparently he is a gigantic fan of Scott Fitterer. They're friends. According to Joe Person, they're like barbecue in the backyard, have a beer level friends. I think it's only a matter of time, though. They're just doing their due diligence right now that Dan Morgan is back in Charlotte working alongside Scott Fitterer. No word of a lie, an hour after I filmed this episode, the Panthers made it official, saying that they hired former Panthers linebacker Dan Morgan as their assistant GM. Let's go back to this past draft, though. An 8th overall pick, Jaycee Horn out of South Carolina. Joe Person from The Athletic did a really good profile on him and how he was raised. And let's be honest, I haven't really heard many people talk about the fact that dude grew up a millionaire. His dad played for the Saints, played for the Kansas City Chiefs, got millions of dollars. He grew up in that life. However, his dad did what I think a lot of dads who were successful and raising kids want to do. They want their kid to reap the benefits of their hard work and have some of the advantages they never had, but also seeing them struggle, seeing them put in the work. Joe Horn, being the millionaire that he became after being successful in the NFL, had he and his family live in a gated community in Georgia along a golf course. There were little league football leagues that Jaycee could have played in, but no. Joe had him play, I guess, in a downtown league that has produced talents such as that guy over there, Killer Cam. And so this was a league, according to Joe, was where, unlike other leagues where they would cancel for too much rain or if it was too hot or too cold or too muddy, they still played. He said Jaycee was playing in the hood with a capital H. That experience there made him into the player he is today. He's not pampered. He's not spoiled. He is a guy who, despite the family that he grew up with, the last name that he grew up with, he had to grind it out still. Seems to be a bit of a trend with this episode, but again, within the hour of filming this episode, Jaycee Horn announced via his Instagram page that he'll be rocking number 8, putting in new beginnings, hashtag 8ball, hashtag RIP Kobe. That's a must cop. Let's talk about players who have been with the Panthers for more than a week. Darnold's been there for a couple months, but according to Matt Rule, Darnold's been living in his head for years. Matt Rule did the radio rounds after the draft. Of course, the Panthers getting a lot of national love for what they did, and Rule was on the Rich Eisen show. And he gave a lot of nuggets as to why Sam Darnold, according to him and Fitterer, is the guy. And it actually came during a defensive meeting with all the defensive staff, including coordinator Phil Snow. They were watching film on the New York Jets to prepare for a game. And at one point, Snow would say to himself, whoa, that Darnold guy, whether it's the velocity in his throw, the type of throws, the athleticism, reminded him of then Detroit Lions quarterback Matt Stafford, which is hilarious because, as we all know, the Panthers lost out in that trade against the Los Angeles Rams for the services of Matt Stafford. So they thought, that guy still has some meat on the bone. At the time, he was only 23. We could get a younger, cheaper Matt Stafford if we were to trade for Sam Darnold. And Darnold's looking a little bit like Matt Stafford on social media. Some of the Panthers brass, also some of the players, were sharing some of their workouts they were doing on the field. One particular clip that has been making the rounds and making Panther fans very excited. I know there's no defender. There's no Jaycee Horn on him. There's no rush. There's no blitz. There's nothing. But a shot of DJ Moore, without breaking stride, catching a 60-yard bomb from Sam Darnold has people hyped.
Sam Darnold draw some things.
Sam Darnold doing his best Bob Ross impression on the whiteboard, not drawing up plays, but drawing just things. I think this was by memory, but he attempted to draw the Carolina Panthers logo. And I'll be honest, check it. I know it's a throwback one, but it is an awkward shape. But it looks like he was doing it from reference, and it looks like he was really concentrating, and it ended up looking like this. Should we be concerned that Darnold looked at the Panthers logo, looked at it, tried to draw it, and came up with that slug? It looks like the Buffalo Sabres when they rebranded and they just looked like, again, a golden slug with red eyes. It made the rounds. The Panthers made it their profile picture on Twitter. Not a good drawer, but hey, if you're a good quarterback, we'll forget about all that. Staying with the quarterbacks is something I'm going to do every week where now that the draft is done, free agency is done, we're going to try to look at who's going to start for the Panthers. What's the depth chart going to look like for each position? Now let's start with those under center. Obviously, Sam Darnold is the guy. But who is going to be the second and maybe third string quarterback? And then there's Tommy Stevens. Judging by the fact that he was the one opted to start when Teddy Bridgewater went down, and PJ Walker, who would have been the XFL MVP, he started under center. Mind you, not a superb game, but he got the win. But Will Grier, who is from the previous regime, drafted, I believe, in the third round out of West Virginia, was not given the shot. It looks like Will Grier's days with the Carolina Panthers could be numbered. One guy who could be a surprise cut the Panthers could target is Drew Locke out of the Denver Broncos. And of course, his job not exactly secure, and it's not just from Teddy Bridgewater after the Panthers traded him away to the Denver Broncos. It's the fact that Aaron Rodgers, if you've been living under a rock, wants the hell out of Green Bay. And apparently Denver is willing to talk with the Green Bay Packers for a massive trade. I know I just mentioned Sam Darnold being a really cool guy and he's tossing 60-yard darts to DJ Moore, but let's be real. Unless Sam Darnold blows us away, he, at this point, isn't the franchise guy. They opted not to draft Justin Fields out of Ohio State. Matt Rule told Rich Eisen he doesn't want to have that situation where you have Sam Darnold, who you've been touting as the guy, and then you're going to have some confusion here with this rookie quarterback. So he thought the best way to build the team is to have Sam Darnold and then get another elite position player like Jaycee Horn. They're trying to build a superior team. And if Sam Darnold eventually is not the guy, if that is the case, worst case scenario, that team is then one quarterback away, one veteran, disgruntled veteran quarterback away from going over the top. And that quarterback, depending on the legal situation, could still be Deshaun Watson. If there's one team who can still manage to get Deshaun Watson while the shine on him is completely all muddied up right now, it's the Carolina Panthers. And if there's one team Scott Fitterer already knows that he can completely fleece and take advantage of, it's the Houston Texans. The trade that the Houston Texans did with the Panthers in order to get Michigan wide receiver Nico Collins is already being called the worst trade in the draft. Fitty is going to call Caserio once things clear up with Deshaun Watson, if they happen. And what's he going to have? What's he going to give? He's going to convince them that, hey, we'll give you next year's sixth, Itir Gross Matos, a second round pick in 2023. Some Bojangles biscuits. Deal. Deshaun Watson, you're a Carolina Panther now. Next week's episode is going to be wild because on May the 12th, the NFL is going to be releasing their full schedule. All 17 games, more football. So we're going to be breaking down all the Panthers games, picking the wins, picking the losses. Where are we going to end up in the NFC South? Which away game do you want to go to? I already have my eyes on one. I'll let you guys know next week. That's going to be so much fun. And also, some rookie OTAs has been going down as well. We're going to see our new rookies in their new numbers, in their gear, running around with no pads on. It's going to be dope. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, spread the word. Speaking of, keep talking to me in the comments below. It is so much fun. It's so positive. I love the back and forth we got going on. Again, this is the Panthers Post. I'm Phil Perkins. See you guys next week.